Students, I'm going to discuss with you the topic theory of constraints, a part of your syllabus for paper 5, strategic cost management and performance evaluation. Theory of constraint is a very important topic within the topic known as throughput accounting. Let me first explain to you the relevance of the word constraints. You know, the word constraint is very often used nowadays during COVID times, when almost all of us are constrained in doing different types of our activities, routine activities. Going to a restaurant, going to meet a friend, gathering into some place for a video, for a lecture, for listening to some lectures, going to religious places, or even sports places. All these are constraints. In some cases, these constraints are so strong, they stop the entire activity, like case you see in case of IPL cricket. And in some cases, it is partially done. So basically, this constraint means to perform an activity, there is a bottleneck. Now that bottleneck should be so serious that you cannot perform at all or perform in a truncated manner. Now the same concept we take into throughput accounting. Now what is throughput in accounting terms? Sales minus direct expenses is throughput. That is, once direct material is put into the process, all the expenses that you incur forms a part of throughput only. If there is no throughput, that is processing of those materials, then you don't require it. Let us say, for example, raw materials are sold directly. The customer comes and takes those raw material as a commodity, then there is no throughput because the sales activity takes in one go. The sales is there. But in majority of the manufacturing and services sector, there is some processes by which the inputs, little or more, goes through a process and reaches the customer where it is called as a sale. And throughput accounting focuses during this process. There can be one, many processes, right? I'm not concentrating on throughput accounting, but I'm bringing down to you from this throughput accounting to one single throughput, single process. A strategic cost management requires, for avoiding non-value adding activities, focus on individual processes to see that how can you rationalize, how can you optimize the activities in those processes. So here with this objective, when you put theory of constraints, it actually means identifying bottlenecks in any 1, 2 or 3 processes, understand the bottlenecks, correct those bottlenecks, or take action taking into account those bottlenecks. This is what theory of constraint means. Let us take a case of an example. In case of a sugar industry, there are 5 machines meant for crushing the sugar cane. Now all these 5 machines have the same capacity of crushing in 2 hours 5 tons of sugar cane. But due to some technical reasons, one of the machines takes 3 hours, takes longer time. So that by the time these sugar canes, crushing machines, crushes them into juice, ready for processing those juice into sugar, molasses, etc., there is a wastage of 1 hour time because you cannot go to the next process unless all the 5 machines outputs are out. And during that 1 hour, the 4 machines which are completed in 2 hours are waiting. They cannot take up any more sugar cane. So that 1 hour loss is a huge loss. This is a bottlenecks in the production process. It involves cost. How do you handle it? The cost management techniques helps you to handle it through value engineering and different types of techniques. I need not go there now. Now there could be another example of theory of constraints. Let us say, for example, there are 5 different machines which processes 5 different products. You are quite familiar from your cost accounting angle such examples. And you calculate the contributions to find out the product mix. But in this case, all the 5 machines cannot be used to their capacity, to their requirements, demand, because the capacity is limited. Let us say, for example, each machine's capacity is 6 hours. But when you put all the products in that full demand, because naturally you like to sell all the products, you see that the requirement of each of the machines exceeds the capacity. So that is a constraint. You cannot use beyond 6,000 hours, whereas you require 7,000 hours. So what do you decide? Here again, an example of theory of constraints. You calculate contributions per hour in this case. The solution is not straightforward. It is not simply a calculating contributions and all. That's not my intention. The purpose is to bring down to you the theory of constraint is basically identifying bottlenecks in processes and sub-processes and trying to find out how production can be optimized by managing that bottleneck. Managing either by correcting it, managing by re-engineering, managing by calculating all the other processes subject to this particular process. Right. Now, actually, the theory of constraint can be taken further into various situations. There can be various examples. How do you tackle the bottlenecks and all those things? Having described to you the crux of it, let me tell you, fortunately, in your examination questions, theory of constraints questions do not come many. It's a very limited scope, concerning only with identification of bottlenecks. In real worlds, the very process of identification of constraints is quite a technical process. It's not a visible that in front of you there is a constraint and then you remove it and correct it. It's a technical process involving different terms of technology and all those things. So therefore the solution would require different types of techniques and measuring them. So activity-based costing helps you tremendously, but luckily we in the syllabus are not linking ABC with theory of constraints. That is a standalone topic of theory of constraints, a lot of solutions. Any book will give you a lot of solutions, including the material issued by your institute and the Takshila video on the theory of constraints contains good examples to bring down to you how do you tackle theory of constraints. I'm sure you have got an overview of what is theory of constraints, and based on this, if you understand few problems that we have tried to solve and shown it in our videos, you'll be better equipped to tackle similar problems in the examinations. Thank you and good luck.